so this is a makeup channel. Not sure why there is a random video on guitar amps on a beauty channel, but you know, I have picked up guitar in the past 6 months over the COVID situation, and I was trying to decide between these two amps. So honestly, I've done a lot of research, but at the moment there are only 3 YouTube videos that you can find that compares these two specific amps, the Power Grid Spark amp and the Yamaha THR Mark II. So I thought that it would be very useful actually to have one more comparison video for people who are also trying to decide between these two, because the Yamaha is supposedly something that's very famous for its sound, and this is the 2nd generation, and everyone knows that the Positive Grid has been making waves as well because a lot of advertising, and it's very hard to order and get you know, a set to try on, right? So I got the Positive Grid first, then the Yamaha. So before I start the comparison, I think I must give a bit of a background. I am an absolute beginner. I've only picked up guitar for the past 6 months, and I've only gotten an electric guitar 2 months ago, so I know nothing about dialing in tones. I'm using this as a practice amp to learn, and later I'll be sharing about how I feel about each of them and my experience in using them to practice. So my needs are going to be very different from someone who is very pro, knows all about the pedals and tones, and wants to connect them to computers. I don't do any of those. Yes, okay, so I'm gonna do this comparison test a bit differently, because I'm actually going to play a short clip of the sound coming from each amp, but I'm not gonna tell you which amp it's coming from first, so that hopefully you will be doing the blind test for yourself and you can decide for yourself which one do you like the sound better. Alright, so let's go. So could you tell a difference between the two amps? And I think it's now time to review which belong to which. So amp A is actually the Yamaha and amp B is the Spark. So I think the sound is something that is quite subjective. I personally think that the Spark sounds really good as a speaker, but at the same time it does sound like a speaker. It sounds quite digital. It doesn't really sound like the instrument is playing, whereas I felt that the Yamaha sounded more realistic. However, that being said, I think that different people will have different views. My husband thinks that the Spark is more forgiving for a bad player like me, whereas the Yamaha, you will be able to hear every mistake that you made. Okay, so I haven't decided which one I'm going to sell. I've got the Yamaha second hand and I've got the Spark first hand. So I think that after using both for practice for a while, so how I normally do my guitar practice sessions is that I've actually got 2 clear books of songs that I have compiled for practicing. There's different types of songs, but I generally go for more pop kind of songs, so I don't really do the high gain stuff much. I only use the high gain for practicing Slash Sweet Child of Mine, which I know I did really badly just now, so please pardon me. But when I'm practicing with the Spark, so I actually have my clear book and I have a Spotify playlist that I have created with the songs in the same order as my clear book. So basically I could just press play on my Spotify playlist and it would just go song after song as I go through every page on my clear book of guitar scores. However, if I wanted to change the tone on the Spark amp, because of the design, if you can see, the buttons are here, right? And normally I have it placed like just around my chest level and I can't see the knobs very well. I can't read which knob I'm changing. So I think it's just a design thing. I think there's nothing wrong with the amp itself. I just feel that it's a bit harder to see what knob I'm turning. So I basically fall back on the app on my iPad to want to change any tones or anything. And quite often, and I think encountered that at least once in every practice session, where when I change from Spotify back to the Spark app, it disconnected and I can't connect back to the machine. Right, I could try up to 5 times and then I would give up. I would have to kill all the apps on my iPad, turn off the amp, turn it back on, and then it would pair again. Right, then I can change the tones. So that to me is quite annoying. And but the app is really, really gorgeous. There's a tons of videos of reviews of this amp and it shows all the interface, so I'm not gonna do that. But basically the app looks really nice, really user-friendly. But maybe I would like to share about my experience in some of the things that were supposed to be the selling point. So one thing about the pedals, right? Because as I mentioned, I'm really new to electric guitars and amps. I'm only 2 months, right? Less than 2 months. And so the number of pedals, everything is a little bit too overwhelming for me. I don't really know how to change them. I don't really know what each of them does. It's easy for me to download from the Tone Cloud, but I generally don't tinker much with it because it's a bit much for me to understand at this point. However, the graphical interface is really nice, and if you really wanted to, it's really easy to do so. It's just that I don't really understand and I have to go to each pedal and move the dial. So I tend not to do that. Second thing is that it advertised itself as being able to play from your Spotify playlist and slow down the songs. It will detect the chords. So number one, I thought that it would actually play from my Spotify, but it seems that it just connects to my Spotify app, get my playlist, but when I press play, it seems to be looking for the YouTube video, and sometimes some of the songs, it says that it can't find the YouTube video and then it does not play the song. So that was quite annoying. If I went straight to my Spotify app and play the song, it will play, just not through the Spark Amp app. Secondly is the chord detection. So it's supposed to, teach you the chords and help you play along. But as I mentioned, I already printed out all the scores and the chords in my book, so I don't really need it. Second of all, it often got the chords wrong. So I wouldn't rely on the chords either, right? But it does have a very convenient feature of allowing the capo. Okay, so and then I think there's another feature where you can play and you create the drums. Obviously that is not relevant to me because I don't even know how to play guitar yet. So yeah, that's my conclusion, right? I think it's really beautiful. If I were to compare the two, I personally actually think that the Spark Amp looks nicer, but my experience in using it is that all the bells and whistles actually do not give me any additional benefits. And I tend to not really tinker or learn how to control the change the tones as much because it's a little bit complicating for me to pick up. Okay, now the Yamaha. So the Yamaha, what I like, this is the THR 30 Mark II. So what I like about it is that, as you can see, the knobs are all in front. It's really easy to see and read what each knob does. It has all the amps, different amps control here. So does the Spark, but it has more. It also has bass, acoustic, and flat. So for all amps, I seem to like acoustic more. Somehow I just end up trying to replicate the acoustic sound on an electric guitar. Sounds silly, right? I don't know why, but anyway. So I actually find that with the THR, I don't have to rely on the app as much to change the sound. So I actually don't really even need to enter the app, right? And I could learn to there's some effects here: chorus, flanger, phaser, tremolo, and the echo reverb. Is also, the dial is also here. Both of them you can control the playback audio volume and the guitar volume separately, so that's very helpful, something I couldn't do with my previous Marshall entry-level amp. So, but about the Yamaha app, it's nowhere as beautiful as the Sparks. However, everything is on one screen. It is actually more easy for me to understand in trying to change the sound. But again, as I mentioned, I don't really find myself going there to do it. Second thing is that the Spark has the tone cloud, so you can actually download sound. So I could just search for Slash, and then just now when I was doing the switch of mine, it's actually the Slash preset that I downloaded from the tone cloud. And for Yamaha, you don't have a equivalent of the tone cloud. It does have some factory presets, but that's about it. You don't have this collaboration thing. And yes, so I find it easier to try and mess around the sound and play with it than the Spark, purely because of the usability. And on the rare occasion that I actually was toying with the app, and if it hangs and disconnects from the system, I don't have to kill everything. I don't have to restart the amp itself either. I just have to kill the app and open it again, and it will connect again, which is quite different from my experience with the Spark. And what else? Yeah, basically I just play through Spotify, and I just need basically 3 memory presets on any amp. One is the something more acoustic like, maybe the second would be something more clean, and the third one would be something with a higher gain kind of sound. Other than that, I don't really need that much because I'm obviously a beginner and don't know half of them. So at this moment, I am leaning towards keeping the Yamaha, but I'm actually going to be using this video as well to help me decide whether my final decision is to keep the Yamaha, because end of the day, I think the sound is really important. To anyone, you must enjoy you know, you're hearing yourself play, right? Then you would actually be motivated to practice more. So I hope that this video is useful for anyone who's trying to decide between the two amps. And I'm sorry I did not light the room and put the backdrop as my other videos, because I was trying to get this out quickly, you know, so yeah, I didn't really have the time for that. Okay, thank you and bye.